Hello, everyone. My name is Talal, and welcome to Popcorn and Soda, the show where we discuss all things movies, pop culture, and so much more. Wonka, the review of one of my most anticipated movies of this year. Actually, I had it number one on my most anticipated list movie of this year because this movie, the franchise in general, holds such a deep, sweet spot in my heart. All the pun intended there, by the way. Wonka was one of the very first movies I ever watched when I was a kid. The original Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I absolutely love that movie till this day. It's one of those movies that, when you're a kid and it just hits you. It's one of those movies, it just hits you and it makes you want to feel and makes you imagine and makes you into a dreamer. And that's what this Willy Wonka franchise, the Amazing World Doll story, did for me. Is it largely inspired me to be doing this and talking about movies and the creative arts. So what did I think of the latest incarnation of the Wonka series, starring the very talented Academy Award nominated Mr. Timothy Chalamet as Mr. Willy Wonka? This movie, pure imagination. Heads up, there's going to be a lot of really bad puns in this review. This movie is a great time at the theater for the entire family. So, where do I even begin with this? Because there's so many great things that I absolutely loved about this film, and why I think that you should just run with the entire family to the local theater and watch this. So, number one, Timothy Chalamet. This actor is such a rare specimen. Honestly, Timothy Chalamet can do no wrong. He is on his way of becoming this generation's DiCaprio. He truly is. Whether it's a franchise like Dune, Call Me by Your Name, and now Wonka, it's such a big departure from all the other roles he's done. But he does such a great job of embodying everything that Willy Wonka is, especially in this movie itself and the story that director Paul King chose to go with. Of course, the man behind the very lovable Paddington films, right? So, there's going to be charm, it's going to be about family, and it's going to have a lot of heart. Hands down, Timothy Chalamet alone, his performance as Willy Wonka, is worth the price of admission. I had such a great time watching him. He has so much screen presence and he's such a lovable character. Because this is a very earlier take on this. He's not necessarily the Gene Wilder character or even the Johnny Depp character. This is a young Wonka full of, just life and spirit and imagination. And I think Timothy Chalamet just crushed it in this role. His musical numbers are amazing. His acting was amazing. Just he has this way of making audiences feel, and I just love that about this movie. On top of the Timothy Chalamet Wonka, the entire cast is so good in this movie. You have the likes of Sally Hawkins, Kayla Lane plays this great co-lead in the movie almost, Noodles, who accompanies Wonka on this journey of self-discovery and just overall what it means to be, a human being. Jim Carter, Olivia Colman, Keegan Michael Key, of course, the legendary Mr. Bean himself, Rowan Atkinson, and the list goes on and on and on. Hugh Grant as Oompa Loompa. This movie just nails the casting. And what I love about this movie is that it brings that Paddington feel and that Paddington vibes to the world of Wonka. Where you, like I mentioned up top, right? You're going to have those amazing, heartfelt, universal themes in the movie. And that's why I love this movie. It's a simple story about Wonka arriving to this new city, wanting to open up a chocolate shop. And it's all about him from the start of the movie to the end of the movie, all the trials and tribulations and the people that come in between him and the barriers that prevent him from actually discovering and, grasping his true identity as a chocolatier. And I think the cast did a great job. It kept the movie going, it kept the movie flowing, and great performances all the way around. Now, third thing that I really loved about this movie is that it's a very sincere, heartfelt movie. In the world we live in right now, there's not too many movies that are just full of so much joy and just all the sweetness of this film. Um, Pun number 10 on the counter if someone's keeping count. It is such a joyful movie. You're gonna have a smile on your face and on your heart the entire time because it's a sweet movie. It's about acceptance. It's about loving each other. It's about believing in each other and, the power of human connection. I just love that about this movie. And it's a very like family oriented and family themed movie, especially with a relationship with specifically Wonka and his mom, Noodles and her parents, whoever they may be. And spoiler alert, no spoilers, you know me. Um, it's a great movie because it tackles those themes that are universal to everyone, no matter what your background is, where you come from. And some of my favorite scenes in the movie were of those of Willie talking about his relationship with his mother. Because I'm personally very close with my mom, so there were times where I was tearing up in this movie at those scenes because it shows you the importance of a mother in our lives and just the relationship that Willie had with his mom. It's This movie brings a smile to my face, and it did the entire time I was in the theater. It's such a great movie, and I just loved it. So those are some of the things that I liked. Now, do I think this is the perfect movie? No, it's not. I think it's very next to impossible to be a perfect movie. There are things in there that I thought that, you know what, maybe didn't quite click for me as well. I thought number one, the length of the movie. I think it could have been trimmed maybe a solid like 15 minutes to make it even that much more concise and just more so that much more. I don't want to say it was filler in the movie, but I thought it was. You could have trimmed down some of the film to just make it that give it that emotional punch in there more. That'd be even more effective because I think some parts in late to second to third act kind of dragged on for me a little. But hey, that's fine. I still had a great time with it, but I think it would have packed that final emotional punch that the movie ends on if it was a bit more tight. And this one may actually be a little controversial because I know everyone's going crazy for it and they love it. And I do too, don't get me wrong. But the Hugh Grant Oompa Loompa character, it didn't click with me as much as it did with all of you. And right off the bat, you guys know me. I always say art is in the eye of the beholder. Something I may like, you may not. And something that you like, I may not. So, hey, if you loved the Hugh Grant Oompa Loompa, more power to you. I'm happy for you. And I liked it too. Don't get me wrong. I just felt that how they introduce the character and how it ends off, it's like, okay. He is barely in the movie that much, to be honest with you. But it didn't work for me as much as it worked for a lot of you. But hey, like Hugh Grant still did a great performance in this film. So overall, what are my thoughts about Wonka? One of my favorite movies of the year, hands down. And maybe that's the bias in me. Like I mentioned, the Willy Wonka franchise, the Roald Dahl story, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it's got a very special place in my heart as it's one of the very first movies I ever watched in English, and it inspired me to follow my own goals and dreams. And just maybe that is something that I took with me watching into this movie. I don't know, but in general, I think the direction from Paul King was great. It was a very original story that I didn't see coming at all. The entire movie's filled with so much charm, so much love, so many laughters. Um, I will say this: it's a musical. Like, make no mistake, this movie is definitely a musical. There's probably like 10 different musical numbers in there. So, not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I know the trailers don't show that as much. But this is definitely a musical. So, take that as you may be. But yeah, it's a great movie filled with love, charm, happiness, and it puts a smile on your heart. A movie like this, especially in the holiday season with everything we've gone through over the last 3, 4 Christmases and holidays, a movie like this is needed. truly think this is a movie for everyone to watch. You guys know me. I don't rate movies on a scale or star ratings. Movies are, they're all in the eye of the beholder, right? So we can all have different experiences. I call it the ice cream store. In this case, we'll say the chocolate shop. You may like one flavor, I may like another flavor. Doesn't mean that you're wrong or I'm right or vice versa. We all have our own tastes. So the way I break it down always is this a movie you watch in a theater? Is this a watch at home movie? Or is this like a rainy day movie where you're kind of just flipping through the channels on the streaming sites and you're just kind of like, do I watch this? It's already on, whatever. To me, Wonka is the perfect movie theater movie, especially for the holidays. I think you and the entire family will have such a great time watching this film at the theaters. It's meant for the theaters. It's meant for the big screen with the great effects, the audio. I watched it in IMAX and it was just a great time. But hey, I also think it could be a very good streaming movie when it does come out on a streaming platform. Watch it at home with your family, have a night out like the family inside, well, night in, inside the family on a Friday night. Watch this movie together. There's a lot of heart in this movie. So kudos to Warner Brothers. They made a great movie. Paul King, Timothy Chalamet, you are the man. And honestly, I hope you all have a great time with this movie as much as I did. So I encourage each and every one of you to go out and watch Wonka. And after you're done, come right back and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the film. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you for making me a small part of your day. And that was my review of Wonka.